Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaranari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaranari Yashoda Nandana Pradajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Pradajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaranari Yashoda Nandana Pradajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapter 1, text 30 and 30. And and actually until the end of the chapter, which is just a few more verses, there's only one purport in there. So I think we'll probably just read the translations at least for the rest of the chapter, and we'll start the next chapter tomorrow. So number 30 now. Tatrapi jagye Bhagavan Harinyam Harimedashaha Harir Itya Hito Yena Gajendro Mochito Grahat Tatrapi Jagye Bhagavan Harinyam Harimedashaha Harir Itya Hito Yena Gajendro Mochito Grahat Tatrapi Jagye Bhagavan Harinyam Harimedashaha Harir Utya Hito Yena Gajendro Mochito Grahat Tatrapi Jagya Bhagavan Harinyam Harimedashaha Harir Itya Hito Yena Gajendro Mochito Grahat Tatrapi Jagye Bhagavan Harinyam Harimedashaha Harir Itya Hito Yena Gajendro Mochito Grahat Tatrapi Jagye Bhagavan Harinyam Harimedashaha Harir Itya Hito Yena Gajendro Mochito Grahat Tatrapi Jagye Bhagavan Harinyam Harimedashaha Harir Itya Hito Yena Gajendro Mochito Grahat. At least one word. Jiva. What's the first word? Ah. We're making progress.
Yes.
Okay. Word for word synonyms. Tatrapi. In that period. Jagye appeared. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Harinyam, in the womb of Harini. Harimedashaha, begotten by Harimeda. Hari, Hari, iti, thus, Ahritaha, called, Yena, by whom? Gaja Indra, the king of the elephants. Mochitaha was freed. Grahat, from the mouth of a crocodile. Translation. Also, in this Manvantara, the Supreme Lord Vishnu took birth from the womb of Harini, the wife of Hari Medha, and he was known as Hari. Hari saved his devotee Gajendra, the king of the elephants, from the mouth of a crocodile. Let's repeat after me. Also, in this Manvantara, the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, took birth from the womb of Harini, the wife of Hari Medha, and he was known as Hari. Hari saved his devotee, Gajendra, the king of the elephants, from the mouth of the crocodile. So there's no purport. So I think I'll just read the translation of the next one. The next verse translation. King Parikshit said, "My lord, Badarayani, we wish to hear from you in detail how the king of the elephants, when attacked by a crocodile, was delivered by Hari." And next translation. Any literature or narration in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Uttama Shloka, is described and glorified is certainly great, pure, glorious, auspicious, and all good. So there's a purport with this one. The Krishna consciousness movement is spreading all over the world simply by describing Krishna. We have published many books, including Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in 17 volumes, 400 pages each, as well as Bhagavad Gita and the Nectar of Devotion. We are also publishing Srimad-bhagavatam in 60 volumes. Wherever a speaker holds discourses from these books and an audience hears him, this will create a good and auspicious situation. Therefore, the preaching of Krishna consciousness must be done very carefully by the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, especially the sannyasis. This will create an auspicious atmosphere. And let me just read the last translation of the last verse, because that's the last verse. And then we'll discuss this. Sri Sutta Goswami said, "O Brahmanas, when Parikshit Maharaj, who was awaiting impending death, thus requested Sukadeva Goswami to speak, Sukadeva Goswami, encouraged by the king's words, offered respect to the king and spoke with great pleasure to the assembly of sages who desired to hear him." Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 1st chapter of the Srimad-bhagavatam, entitled "The Manus, Administrators of the Universe." So, Om Jnana Timiranda Shakya Jana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, the verse 32, the one with the purport, says again, Any literature or narration in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Uttama Shloka, is described and glorified is certainly great, pure, glorious, auspicious, and all good. Uttama Shloka means he who is described he who is described by transcendental literature. That's the meaning of that. It's the name of Krishna. So he who is described by transcendental literature. So you can just appreciate the quality of Krishna conscious books, because there's actually the Srimad-bhagavatam, not just the Srimad-bhagavatam, but the Srimad-bhagavatam specifically is very much glorified in the Srimad-bhagavatam itself. In fact, I think the very last chapter of the entire Srimad-bhagavatam glorifies the Srimad-bhagavatam. In the 12th canto, the very last chapter. But the Srimad-bhagavatam is very special. And of course, all these other books that Srila Prabhupada was mentioning are also very special. Srila Prabhupada's intention, he writes in the purport, we are also publishing the Srimad-bhagavatam in 60 volumes. We don't have 60 volumes. So he had planned to do a lot more detailed, maybe twice what we have presently. So he'd already done it up to the 8th, 9th, part of the 10th canto. So I can only assume that his intention was in the 10th canto, which is a very large part of the whole entire Srimad-bhagavatam, to write much more extensively. But Srila Prabhupada physically left this world when he did, and those who took over, all the doing very nice translations, didn't go into it in as much detail as apparently Srila Prabhupada was intending to, because even in the smaller volumes of the Srimad-bhagavatam, there's about 30 or so. So that means he must have intended, another 30 volumes, maybe in the 10th canto. But anyway, the point here, in any case, is that if wherever the transcendental literatures, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion, Chaitanya Charitamrita, wherever these are heard or discussed or presented, it makes a very auspicious situation, whether people realize it or not. Of course, you're all here listening, so we can appreciate the nature of these books so much, and even those who don't immediately appreciate how wonderful these books are, and from the transcendental point of view, still they're getting benefit. In fact, I mentioned before, but it's related here. The sages, maybe yesterday I think I already said this, but the sages of Naimisharanya, they're having this discussion. Their discussion actually came after this. This is a narration. Maharaj Parikshit is asking Sukadeva Goswami these questions at this point. So the sages of Naimisharanya forest, Sutta Goswami, for one, was present when Sukadeva Goswami was speaking to Maharaj Parikshit in his last 7 days of the king's life. And he had, although we don't find these qualities now in Kali Yuga, but he had a perfect memory and perfect understanding. So he heard everything and he remembered everything. He remembered all the details, all the language, all the philosophical explanations, and then later on, when the opportunity came up, and the sages at Naimisharanya forest were having their meeting on the subject of Srimad-bhagavatam, he was, I think they used the word elected. He was chosen by the assembly of sages to be the most senior and most qualified to be the one who would sit on the Vyasa-san. The Vyasa-san means the seat of the Vyas, who compiled all the Vedic literatures 5,000 years ago. So he was given that position to sit there and to speak and present this philosophy as it is. And they chose that particular place, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, they chose that particular place, the Naimisharanya forest. And Naimisharanya still exists somewhere in India, but it actually still exists, the same place. And they chose that place for this discussion because it's the Naimisharanya is considered to be, I guess that means this planet also is considered to be the hub of the universe. Naimisharanya forest specifically is mentioned as being the hub of the universe, and that what spiritual discussions that are done there will actually benefit the entire universe. It's not just it wasn't just benefiting those who were sitting there during the time of their discussion, but it was actually benefiting even the higher planets, even the lower planets. It means the entire universe. The spiritual potency went out to far beyond those who could directly hear it. So this is the nature of subject matter like this, which is about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord is perfect and unlimited, and his literatures about him are perfect and unlimited, unlimitedly auspicious, and everything else about the Lord is auspicious and complete. His name, of course, there's no difference between Lord Krishna and his name. And as we read in the Shikshashtaka verses every day, the Shikshashtaka verses from Lord Chaitanya, that the Supreme Lord's name is say invested with all the potencies of the Lord completely. It's hard to imagine a word or many words, because Krishna has many names, but that's what it says. All potencies are invested in those holy names, and that's why it's so effective that we chant Hare Krishna. We're associating with Krishna. We're actually associating with Krishna by chanting his holy names. And Srila Prabhupada was very much. He mentions here the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this was, I don't know what year it was, but Srila Prabhupada very much insisted on that Chaitanya Charitamrita getting published. What he did, and I remember that. I don't recall what year it was, but it was probably in the mid 70s sometime. that Srila Prabhupada gave an order to the devotees at our BBT, the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, that you must publish this entire Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'll give you 2 months to publish this, and plus one volume of Srimad-bhagavatam. So there actually were 18 volumes total. You can imagine. And Srila Prabhupada, this is 2 months before Srila Prabhupada's Vyas Puja day. Jai Shri Gaura-Nitai, Shri Radha Braja Bihari, Jagannath, Balaram, Lady Subhadra, Srigane, Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. This was about 2 months before Srila Prabhupada's Vyas Puja day, his birthday, or appearance day, we say. And the devotees, they gave this instruction because Srila Prabhupada was always translating, writing his books, and devotees who were involved in that way were taking the dictation tapes and were going on and bringing the books one at a time into print. So what Srila Prabhupada said that he said, I'm not going to translate any more until you publish these. I'll give you 2 months to publish all these 18 books. And of course, the immediate reply was, that's impossible, Srila Prabhupada. Nobody can do that. It takes us 3 or 4 months to do one book. If we're lucky, we can get 3 or 4 months just for one book. And Srila Prabhupada said, impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary only. So Srila Prabhupada he didn't take any excuses. He said do it, he meant do it. And the rule is, the spiritual understanding is that along with the order of the spiritual master comes the ability to carry out that order. Just as Srila Prabhupada took the order of his spiritual master to preach to the Western people, preach to the English-speaking people, an order that wasn't just that instruction was not just to Srila Prabhupada. It was like Srila Prabhupada described it as an open secret. I mean, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was asking all the time. He was asking his disciples. Everyone knew he wanted to. This preaching to go on into the Western countries, everything, but no one did it. Several Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers attempted to. They went to England, like that, but as soon as they were not successful, and they didn't really believe that the English people or anyone outside of India could actually follow this process anyway. So they went. They were appreciated by people who went, others you went there and you attempted it, but these people were just too low class. You can't do anything with them, like that. So that attitude was there. But Srila Prabhupada had faith in his spiritual master, and he came to America and he preached, and he was very effective. He was patient. I mean, in the early days of ISKCON, when devotees started becoming, people started coming around and showing some interest, and then that storefront was set up, the one that had previously been called Naturalist Gifts. So that was Srila Prabhupada was there. He had his own, I think, a separate apartment upstairs somewhere, but everyone was new, and nobody had any idea what to do, what not to do, what was proper, what was improper. They were brand new, trying to learn something from Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada was, he would have his meetings, his classes, just like we're doing here. So he would have regular classes there, and the devotees they're becoming devotees. They're still hardly even starting the process, but they started coming, and they became attracted to Srila Prabhupada, And in due course of time, some became a little more interested, and somehow or other, I'm sure probably preached on these points, but at one point there were some initiations. Okay, we're going to have initiations, and he had, I don't know how many devotees or how many of them were at that first initiation, but he did it, gave the spiritual names. Um, I'm sure he said that you have to chant this many rounds and follow the principles and all that. But it was kind of like new, and everyone's not really, hasn't really clicked yet, So the day after the initiation, the very first initiation, initiations in America that he gave, the day after the initiation, then he posted on the kitchen door at this place, and his letter's still around. I saw a copy of it in New Vrindavan once, Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa-san. But it's basically saying that if anyone who's been initiated in this Krishna consciousness movement must, for the rest of their lives, chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra, follow the avoid these 4 activities of eating meat, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling. Attend the morning programs, like that. And I think there's probably another point or two that Srila Prabhupada always emphasized. So he said like that, and then the devotees started singing, like, wow, where did this come from? What did we get ourselves into? But they like Srila Prabhupada. They were very attracted to Srila Prabhupada. And they tried, and of course the movement started in that way, and then as time went on, more and more devotees got their initiations, and word got out to the others in the outside of New York. This was New York, so it happened in California and San Francisco or San Diego, San Francisco. So there was somebody else out there who was getting people a little bit interested, and then Srila Prabhupada, he went out went out there, and when he went out there, then it was in New York. We're thinking, how can we go on without you? How can we go on without you? Because Srila Prabhupada gave all the classes. He did everything. He says, "There's no problem. You get up in the morning. You go to Mangal Arati. You speak. You can take turns and speak something about read the books and speak whatever according to your realizations, like that." And he was not concerned. I mean, he was not concerned. He spoke about the Vani and Vapu. Vani means the physical association, which everyone, the first who joined ISKCON, only had that. Well, no, not only, because they had Vani, which is the instruction, but they really depended on that. But he said more important is the Vani. Vani means following the instructions. And why is it more important? It's more important because Vani is eternal. Vani is eternal. So we don't, the spiritual master may be physically present, either still on the planet or physically present somewhere on the planet, but may not be with us. Or he may be with us, he may not be with us physically. But the instructions that he gives, we keep. Those instructions don't depend on him us being with the spiritual master. And sometimes it's actually good to not 24 hours a day be with the spiritual master, because as they say, familiarity breeds contempt. And that would sometimes happen with those who were with Srila Prabhupada constantly. They started forgetting or not understanding who he really is, advanced Krishna conscious devotee, and they would become too familiar you know, and this was happening sometimes, and they're trying to instruct Srila Prabhupada on, you know, you're from India, so you don't really know how to deal with the people here, or something, you know, which was wrong. Srila Prabhupada knew better than anyone, but sometimes they would say like that. They start feeling like that. So Vani and Vapu are both important, um, and Vani is more important because, I mean, there are disciples of Srila Prabhupada who never saw him at all, and there are many who have come since who are either not initiated or disciples of others, you know, disciples of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, like that, who also never saw Srila Prabhupada, but we all have a relationship with him. That's his very unique, and we all, you know, you say we all have a very unique relationship with Srila Prabhupada. Um, uh, Srila Prabhupada is, of course, he's officially, or well, he's our founder Acharya. He's our founder Acharya. He's the Acharya who taught us everything. It's the base, and our knowledge of Krishna consciousness is all based on his instructions, especially the books more than anything, and his personal example like that. So that was um, uh, we all have that. And of course we all can read about what Srila Prabhupada and his life. We can all hear from others who had personal association or who passed down this knowledge from someone who did have personal association. So that's there. But the most important is in the association is the Vani, because even if your spiritual master is present in this world, chances are spiritual master is moving around, or at least is not always where you are. That's usually how it works. And if someone is constantly 24 hours a day with spiritual master, then sometimes it becomes difficult to not become familiar. So it's good to have some separation, but not separation in terms of following the instructions. Physical association, then they say absence makes the heart grow fonder, like that. So if you're not with spiritual master, then but you're always thinking, how can I serve my spiritual master? And if you and then when you do get a chance to be with the spiritual master, then it's like special, real special. I personally had very little physical association with Srila Prabhupada. 4 or 5 times maybe. I saw him. I never spoke with him. I did write a letter once, and he answered it. That was when I was still in Gainesville, not since then. But the most important is following the instructions, to making that commitment to serving the mission according to his instructions. And it's all that's really required to become Krishna conscious. I started talking about the Chaitanya Charitamrita book publishing marathon. So I just mention a little bit about that because it was an amazing time. I was here. I was not here. I was in Miami. We were in Miami Beach at the time. And Srila Prabhupada gave that in order, and it was a seemingly impossible thing, but Srila Prabhupada already said, no way. It's impossible is a word in the Fool's Dictionary. So he was not going to in any way accept that it could not be done. He gave the order. So those out there in the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, they were they were planning, how are we going to do this? 18 books in 2 months. That means like about one book every 2 weeks, more than 2 books in a week. But what they did was they immediately called on all the temples. If you have anyone in your temple who's an artist, because these books have paintings, who's an artist or who has secretarial skills in particular, who could type like that, or who can do any part of the process. If you have anyone like that, let us borrow them for 2 months. So we'll pay their way out here and help us to fulfill this instruction that Srila Prabhupada gave us. So they did. We actually had 2 devotees that had just, like a day before, had joined Miami Temple, and one was an artist, and one was knew how to type. So of course, what are you going to do? The request was given, it was to please Srila Prabhupada, so they were sent out to help out. We never got them back, but anyway, they went out there, and then the devotees they had devotees working 24 hours a day. You work so many hours, like 3 shifts or 4 shifts, 24 hours a day, and the books, everything was on Srila Prabhupada was dictating, or had dictated, so they're all on tapes or whatever form the dictation was on those days. It was already on in that format, so it all had to be typed, transcribed, and then in those days they didn't have like we have the modern PC, personal computer. These things didn't exist then. They had big typesetting machines that were much more complicated. But they had devotees who were working on them. So typing, transcribing the tapes, and somebody was constantly typing it. And then there were others who were, when one just couldn't take it anymore, and fell asleep or had to stop and rest, then somebody else would step in. So you may have, in 24 hours, you may have had 3 or 4 different devotees typing the same manuscript. And then the paintings that were being done, they also were not done by just one devotee. So somebody would sit down and start painting when they had to stop, because you got to stop and rest. And somebody else would sit there and continue with that same artist painting, and then somebody else would continue on top of that. So the ones that were done at that time were probably had 3 or 4 or 5 different artists painting each of the paintings like that. But anyway, it was done like that, and it was going on 24 hours a day for 2 months, for 60 days. And they were doing it somehow. We were only hearing about it here because it was all out in Los Angeles at the time, the activities going on. But I do remember that every week there were 2 new books were sent to each temple every week. They weren't making big printings. They wanted to at least get them out. So they sent 2 books. Each of a copy of each of the two volumes that were done during that week. They sent them to each temple. I remember we would put them on our altar, offer them to our deities. And so there was the 5th. I'm not sure which canto it was in. There's one volume of the Srimad-bhagavatam that had to be done, and there were 17 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So that one Srimad-bhagavatam volume, and one of the volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then every week after that there was 2 more books from of Chaitanya Charitamrita that were being sent to the temple without fail, and we offered to the deities. And then at the end of the 2 months, all those books had been published, and then Srila Prabhupada was there in Los Angeles. And of course, there's a very big celebration. Srila Prabhupada's Vyas Puja Day, when devotees were able to say, "Here's Srila Prabhupada, here's entire Chaitanya Charitamrita and this other volume of the Srimad-bhagavatam," like that. So impossible is a word in the Fool's Dictionary, Srila Prabhupada said, and actually in Krishna consciousness, the impossible, so-called impossible, can be done. I mean, Srila Prabhupada himself, what he did, coming to America, no money, and coming to America by himself, and no money, and physically, and at an old age, having 2 heart attacks on the way over. I mean, who could? You can't imagine it. But somehow or other, he came, and he gave everything he had, everything he could give, he physically and mentally, and he just gave everything. And on top of all that, he was writing all these books, which we can. And Srila Prabhupada was writing books was not just. I mean, if I wouldn't write probably be able to write a book like this, but it's not. Ordinarily, if you write a book, you're writing it and you're rewriting it and you're rewriting it, and then you have somebody else do proofreading, and then you write over it again. It takes something like this would take probably many years, but Srila Prabhupada was going through them very fast. He would spend 6 hours every morning writing books. Srila Prabhupada's schedule, at least at one time, I guess it changed from time to time, he made adjustments, but at one time his schedule was he would sleep maybe 11 o'clock at night. He'd get up at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's 2 hours. He'd get up at 1 o'clock in the morning when everyone else was sleeping, because it was quiet. And he would sit down for about 6 hours and write books. And then he would he would go usually out for the morning walk, and then come back give the Srimad-bhagavatam Class. Generally, it was like that. And then, of course, he had time that he would meet with visitors who wanted to talk about, inquire or talk about Krishna conscious subjects. And then he would then he had his scheduled time that he would meet with the devotees, his leaders, usually like that. He would eat his lunch in the late morning, 11:30 or so, and then he would rest for about an hour, an hour and a half in the afternoon. He said that for a young child or a young boy, especially to sleep, to sleep all at once, and for an old man, old woman, I think it's just that old man. I will assume it applies in both cases. Then he said that he would it's best to break up the sleep. You sleep at night and then you take a nap, like that. So that's how Srila Prabhupada did. He slept a little bit at night, and he rested some in the afternoon. But overall, his sleeping was not even 4 hours. You can imagine. And when Srila Prabhupada would wake up, he was wide awake, and he was immediately preaching. We wake up in the morning, and we're probably like, what is it morning already? What happened? I just went to sleep. Kind of groggy and everything, right? But Srila Prabhupada, when he would wake up, if someone came in, immediately he's wide awake and he's already, he's already preaching, he's giving instructions, but he's totally alert. So, which means that Srila Prabhupada, although he was resting his body, he was never, like overcome by ignorance. We go to sleep and we're pretty much in mode of ignorance all night while we're sleeping. That's why it's hard to shake it off in the morning. Outside, people, I gotta get the morning coffee or something. I gotta wake you up like that, but we don't do those things. But the Srila Prabhupada he was never in that mode of ignorance stage. He'd rest his body and he was totally thinking about Krishna all the time. In fact, he said that there was never a time, which I actually meant even before this lifetime, that there's never a time that I was not thinking about Krishna. So we can't say that. Hopefully we can say sometimes there's a time that I do think about Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada could honestly say there was never a time that I was not thinking about Krishna, or I was not remembering Krishna, like that. So Srila Prabhupada was, of course, obviously a very special soul, but he was also showing us where we can become, what we can become like by following this process. If we become fully Krishna conscious, then we become nitya siddha, eternally liberated. We consider to be, we're called now nitya vada is the word. It means eternally conditioned, because we've been conditioned for so, well, the term is time immemorial, which means it's so far back that there's just no way, historically you can't even figure it out. How many lifetimes, how many creations of the material universe, we can't, there's no way of knowing how long we've been here. But when one becomes Krishna conscious, fully liberated, then at that point we're called nitya siddha, because in eternal time means time from the spiritual world, time in the future that will be only in full Krishna consciousness. That'll be like the big time, and the little time, although it could have been millions, billions of years, trillions of years, but all that time will pass in a second compared to the time in the spiritual world, like that. So like that. So we are practicing right now. We are practicing Krishna consciousness, but once we become Krishna conscious, then forever we will be fully Krishna conscious. Because Krishna, we may say, well, what happens if I go back to Godhead and I mess up, and I come back down here and get entangled for another 10 zillion creations of the universes. But Krishna says, and Srila Prabhupada that for having once come back to my eternal abode, spiritual world, you will never take birth again. So and of course Srila Prabhupada is also telling us this. So Krishna saying it, and Srila Prabhupada is confirming it, and so we can be sure that once we get back to the spiritual world, we're not going to fall down in ignorance again. We just won't make that mistake again. We still have free will, but we won't mess up a second time. So that's encouraging, that we don't have to work hard to go back, and we don't have to worry that we're going to make a mistake and come back here again. And so just going back to this purport, which we've kind of gone off a little bit. So the main point here is that wherever a speaker holds discourses from these books and an audience hears him, this will create a good and auspicious situation. So of course that, there's both factors there. The speaker has to be qualified to speak, and the audience has to be qualified to hear. And for the process to work. So if the speaker is speaking nicely, and the audience is sitting there, just say, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, then, or I know more than this person, or okay, I'll listen, but there's no way I'm going to apply this to my life, like that. So that if the attitude is like that, then the transmission is not complete. So both factors have to be there. Someone who's speaking this knowledge comes through disciplic succession, and someone or more than one, who are hearing it with the right attitude, with a humble attitude, in the mood to I really want to get this. I really want to learn it. I really want to understand it. I want to live. I want to live by this knowledge. If we have that attitude, then the whole transmission is very good. So, and if someone's very eager to hear, and someone sits up here and just doesn't present it properly, if it presents it something that doesn't come through the disciplic succession, then again it's not complete. So here, whenever a speaker holds discussions from these books and an audience hears him, this will create a good and auspicious situation. And auspiciousness, Srila Prabhupada describes it or defines it in Nectar Devotion, means that activity which is beneficial for everyone, for all living beings, actually, he says. He's talking in that case about Krishna consciousness, how Krishna consciousness is all auspicious. So auspicious means it actually benefits everyone. It benefits those who are practicing it. It benefits even the trees and the plants and so on are getting benefit if they're hearing the chanting of Hare Krishna. Even these trees around here are getting benefit that we're talking about Srimad-bhagavatam. Even if they can't hear it exactly as we would understand, but they're getting spiritual benefit because it's happening here. The people of Coconut Grove are getting benefit for what's going on here. Not only this, but the devotional service, the chanting that's going on, the deity worship that's going on. Everyone's actually getting benefit, even though they don't know. There's some pious results. Krishna conscious, the right kind of pious results that people are getting, even though they may or probably don't actually understand what's going on. That's why it's called a Gyata Sukriti. It's pious activities that one's getting without actually understanding it, without actually understanding what's coming. You're unknowingly getting pious results. So they're not going to ask for these kind of pious results, but we who know about Krishna consciousness, our service is to do things that will actually benefit everyone. Maybe some of those people out there, they may not come here right now, but next lifetime, or a future lifetime, because they got some benefit now because of the devotional activities going on, they will have a chance to take up Krishna consciousness themselves. It's a gradual process. So we are very fortunate to have taken up this process, and our duty is to make others fortunate by giving this process so others can also take it up. maybe I'll stop here, and this will be the end of this chapter. Tomorrow we start on chapter 2, the elephant Gajendra's crisis. Any questions, comments? Microphone, please.
I didn't know that I was fasting. It may happen in 2 months between before people write and style and artists doing it. I thought that I didn't know that detail. So thank you for sharing that. That was really cool and word possible to research and I remember that.
And we can also aspire to do the impossible, do things which we say, how can I do that? I'm only one person, or but we should not think that anything that we would like to do, especially in Krishna service, that is just impossible. Aspire to do something wonderful for Krishna, and Krishna will, because Krishna says that it's also a Bhagavad Gita verse, I preserve what they have and supply what they lack. So the principle is that whatever we saw this in Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada came physically with, had no money, no old age, bad health, so many things, but he gave 100% of what he had. And he didn't hold back anything. He gave 100%, and Krishna supplied. He sent some followers. He gave him the ability to dictate those books and to preach to anyone and everyone that he met. So, Krishna gave him he supplied everything, and therefore there was success. But that's the example for us also. So we can aspire to do something wonderful, something that we may think is, how could I do that? But if we want to do it, and especially if it's a Krishna conscious purpose, for Krishna conscious goal, and we want to do something in Krishna service, and we're ready to give everything we can give for it, not hold back anything, then that's what then Krishna will supply what we lack. But if we are just making a show that I'm giving everything, Krishna, he's in here, and he's in the heart, and he knows very well that we're making a show and we're not really giving. But if we're actually giving everything, we're giving all our energy, our intention, then he will supply what we lack, especially in his service.
Just a day ago, I was online, and there's in Mayapur right now, they're having a meeting, and they were asking Rameshwar about the marathon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was just talking about how Jaya Waithe, I think, was doing the editing, and Srila Prabhupada said, you get Hare Krishna too. And they're like, no, he's not as involved as he used to be, but they said, Prabhupada said, no, get Hare Krishna to edit as well. And it just shows that, and then it got done. But, the doubts that we have, if we follow what the spiritual master says, then it can be done, even if we had initial doubts, like we said, we can't be done in 2 months. And Prabhupada said to do it, and they did it, and of course when it happened.
It got done. And they had that faith that Prabhupada said it, so we'll find a way to do it. And everyone was very blissful in that, doing that. I wouldn't say there were no challenges there. I've heard about some of it, and I wasn't there. I only saw the results of it. Sometimes it was difficult, but overall the success was there because they took the order of the spiritual master as everything, and they gave 100% endeavor for that, at least for those 2 months, like that, and the impossible got done.
saw some pictures too of the artists, all three of them at once. It'd be like one painting here, another one here, and another one, like three of them at one time, and one painting.
Oh, at the same time?
Yes,
Okay, I didn't know that side of it. I only knew one taking over after the other one. Like that. So, and Srila Prabhupada says, your love for me will be tested after I leave by how well you cooperate with each other in carrying on this mission. So that was definitely a very big opportunity for cooperating to get something done for Lord Chaitanya's mission.
I found it interesting about not falling asleep when you're sleeping and then waking up not groggy.
Yeah.
I've had some experiences where playing in detail, like while I'm going to sleep, and I wake up like 3 or 4 hours later, just like not tired, just on that.
Yes. Yes, if we can remember Krishna, it's like we were talking the other time about reading Krishna book at night before sleeping, and then thinking about Krishna during the night. So that's the process. Try to 24 hours a day be engaged in thinking, speaking, and acting, serving in Krishna consciousness. This is the Srila Prabhupada. Somebody asked Srila Prabhupada what. It was a non-devotee who was asking like this. Oh, well, what will happen if everyone in the world became Krishna conscious? What would happen to the world? Oh, it'd be a very nice thing. Because they're thinking Hare Krishnas only do singing and dancing and things that people would see us doing. So what happens if everyone did, the whole world started doing this, everything would fall apart. They're thinking, no, if everyone became Krishna conscious, everything would become very nice. And of course, there are practical things that have to be done, but you do it in Krishna service. In Jaipur, been a long time since I was there, but it's a rule, or at least it was then, I was told, that there's one temple there. It was a temple, is that Radha Govind temple? There's one temple there, famous deity that's been there for hundreds of years. And it's the main temple there in Jaipur. And the people there are required, at least the people who work in the city, are required. If you're working in the city, you must go to Mongol Arctic there. So there's all these people, and they come in their suits, and they're on stop off for the Mongol Arctic before going to their job, because they're required. And if you're not going there, you're going to lose your job. Yeah, like that. So there's some Krishna conscious management there. Okay, I think I'm always out of time. Oh. So thank you very much. Tomorrow we start with next chapter about Gajendra the elephant. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.